La 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 la. Screen peeking. Bop bop bop.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 29 of Screen Peeking, a weekly podcast where Ziggy and I get together to talk about video games and everything video game related. Today we are going to talk about a bunch of games we've been playing this week and just kind of really dive into that and, talk about what we love about these games and what we don't like about these games. So without further ado, Ziggy, why don't you tell everybody what you've been playing this week?
So like you have been playing our Game Pass game Doom 3, which I'll talk about because I don't know. It's just interesting to me. Um but like I was saying before the episode, it's kind of a stressful week, so it's kind of mostly playing games that are
Mhm.
like comfort food to me. Um but even though like I hadn't really played a lot of these games before in a big capacity, but like I was playing Carrion, which I started a while ago. And I think I just got really lost because that game is
It,
really difficult to navigate.
yeah, it is.
Yeah. Um I mean, this is like the most common piece of criticism for it, but that game really, really, really just needs a map. And I get the whole like, oh, well, you're a big scary monster. Why would you have a map thing? But like, at the end of the day, it's
Let me
just
check my
kind of not.
smartwatch.
It's just kind of not fun going through without a map. Like, there's so many times where, luckily, there's like maps online that you could look at, so it's just using those for the most part. But there's so many times where I'd get to a point back into sort of like the hub world,
Hmm.
and I was like, oh, like shit, like I don't even know where I'm supposed to go. Like I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, so I just kind of
Well,
wander
which
around for a
turn was
bit
the
until
wrong
it'd be
one?
like, yeah, yeah. And it's kind of wander around for a bit until I eventually was like, oh, I don't think I've been here yet. And then because there'd be like enemies to
Hmm.
kill, and so I'd slaughter some dudes and end up on the right path eventually.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. That game's just so like, despite the fact that the lack of map and like objectives sort of makes it easy to get lost, I do think the level design is really, really good. Like I was oftentimes just really amazed of how it always manages to get you back where you want to be, where you go off somewhere and it just always loops back. Like the whole map is just like a series of loops that sort of go into each other. So you're always like where you need to be. And like when you get lost, I still find that without a map, just kind of by like going around, I end up getting where I need to be just because, like I said, it all just connects in such a like in a way that just makes so much sense. And it's just pretty and cool looking and satisfying. The all the new abilities are fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I finally sort of busted through and beat it, which was some good fun. I played Strafe, which I again sort of dabbled in a while ago, but I think that was when I was on like a laptop without a graphics card, so it didn't really work. But it's a it is a retro 90s FPS, which might be super surprising to anybody watching that I'd be playing that. But it's in more of like a roguelite format, so you're like getting different
Oh.
weapons and it's just neat. Like it's definitely not the best boomer shooter I've played, but I like the fact that it's a roguelite. Like it makes it's sort of an interesting spin on that. Um and yeah, I mean, it's the music in that I think is probably the weakest part because I feel like a lot of why I'm drawn to boomer shooters a lot of the time is like just really kick-ass music. Like that's part of what made Dusk so appealing to me. That's part of why I liked Ultra Kill. But here's just sort of like it's not bad, but it doesn't get the blood pumping quite as much as I was hoping.
Hmm.
But like the shooting's good, the movement feels good, the upgrades are fun. Not the best roguelite I've played, but also definitely not the worst. And it's a good time waster. Um, but I also just because I was surfing through the shop and like the Xbox shop and just saw the Balan Wonderworld demo sitting there, and I was like, I've heard so many weird things about this game, and it all like just seeing what I've seen and knowing that it's published by Square Enix and made by like the Sonic and like Nights into Dreams people. I was like, well,
Yep.
like this looks so weird for that, and so it's like I should just try it because I want to have my own opinion on it. And I think people are maybe a little too harsh on the game. I do agree it is fucking weird and not always in a good way. Like this I put story in quotes because it's like barely a story. Like none of the cutscenes have dialogue. I really like the cutscenes. Like they're really pretty and cool looking, and all the characters look great and move great. Um, but I have no idea what's happening the whole time. You're like playing as some kid, and then this like cool guy with a hat with eyes on it shows up, and he's like, yeah, it brings you onto a stage. And he's like dancing, and then suddenly you're on like a farm, and and then there's stuff happening on the farm, and then there's a musical number with you and the farmer, and you dance and sing, and then like it's so confusing, and like the platforming is also kind of shitty. Like it's fine, it's serviceable, but it's not great. But like it was such a weird experience, just like being thrust through like
How
this weird thing. But I don't know, man.
how's the camera? Because I hear bad things about the camera. Is it fine?
Ah, it's fine. I like it's better than a lot of 90s 3D platformers were, which is a really, really low bar. But like if you are used to playing like even Sonic Adventure, the camera in Sonic Adventure is way worse than this. Like I
Gotcha.
found Sonic Adventure's camera to be almost unusable at times from like a modern lens. But it's not good, but it's not the worst by any stretch of the
Mhm.
imagination. I feel like the big thing with this game is it seems like Yuji Naka had a really big idea for what he wanted, and then Square gave him like $10 to make it. and so it's just this weird like you can really feel the budget. Like it's why the platforming feels so like simple and kind of bad at times. And I think why there isn't any dialogue in the cutscenes.
Mm.
And like because so much of it is like there's such a good idea behind it. Like I said, like the character designs are awesome, the animation, the way that they move is so charming to me, but like it just makes no sense. um I wish it was higher budget because I think it really could be something cool if it was. Like it doesn't feel like incompetence with this game. It just feels like a missed opportunity, I guess. And they delayed it, right? Like they're giving it a little bit more time, but I still think I don't. There's only so much a delay can do. I feel like so much of this is just on the ground level of what's wrong with it. And that's kind of sad to me because I like Sonic. I never played Nights into Dreams, but I really like what he does with just weird but very very unique shit. Um, but yeah, I think those were the main ones. I like dabbled in Control just before the show, playing some other stuff that I usually play, Rocket League and whatnot. But yeah, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, just to touch on the Balan Wonderworld demo really quick, I did not play that. I have not seen gameplay from that. I didn't watch anything. All I know is that little like hat mascot looking character. I was like, that's a cool looking character. I like that design. And but then all of a sudden I'm hearing all this crap. I'm not gonna play it. I have too many things I want to play that, if enough people say it's not good, I don't want to even try.
Let me
Okay,
pitch you on the demo because
pitch me on the
it
demo.
is it is
How
literally
Souls
like
like is it?
15 minutes. It's like 15 minutes long. It's the Dark Souls of
I was just
Yuji
gonna
Naka
ask you
games.
to say that.
um uh but it's like 15 minutes. It's small, so it won't hurt your data cap too much. And while it's not good, I think it fully sits within the realm of like it's definitely not boring. There wasn't like I finished that demo and I felt very glad that I played it. I did not think it was time wasted. Like it wasn't particularly fun, but it was absolutely an experience worth having. I don't know if that sells you on it at all. Also, it's
We'll
free,
see.
so
We'll
can't
see.
really pass that up.
We'll see.
But yeah,
Hey, speaking of data caps, though, I don't have one. But besides that, just saw it actually for other reasons. I looked on at my like service provider today and see how much data I've been using, because I'm almost up for my to renew basically my 2-year term, and I saw in the last 10 days, thanks to Game Pass adding in all these Bethesda games, I've crossed 500 gigs in just the last 10
Holy
days.
shit.
So yeah,
Jesus.
I was like, well, good thing I have unlimited, because yeah, that's 10 days into the month already, and like for where it started. So anyways, that leads into the games I've been playing this week, because everything I've been playing has been on Game Pass this week, and just the value for that, and my financial situation is just not the best right now. It's probably the worst it's been in my life, and I love to put my money into like products that I really love and want to support people that make great games, and I have no issue buying games outright if I can. But Game Pass is such a great value, and I know I'm helping in some little way at least, and I am so thankful for it because without it I would not be able to play Doom, Fallout 76, Wolfenstein: The New Order, Doom 3, and Doom Eternal all this week just to like try them all out and see what they're all like. So I'll just start with like Doom. I've played the original Doom before, but it had been so long I had to download it again and just turn it back on. So played through a level of that and was kind of like, that's enough. I'm gonna bounce again. I have to play Doom 3, so I want to play that.
Wait,
so I'll talk about that a little
touching
later.
on the original Doom, have you played Brutal Doom out of curiosity?
No.
The
What's
mod?
that?
Oh, you really should. So
Okay, why?
I don't think it's compatible with the one on Game Pass. I think it needs like the actual MS-DOS Doom. But it basically it's the same levels of Doom, same enemies and everything, but it just makes it feel like modern in the absolute best way. Or modern, I guess, in the way that like Dusk is modern, where you can look up and down, and it's kind of weird, but you can like hit headshots, so there's a little more of that like precision involved, and there's way more like graphical effects with like gore and stuff like that, hence the name Brutal Doom. But also just like more weapons that are really cool. It just like adds so much, and all of it feels really meaningful, and it just makes it like way more intense, and just I don't know, it's crazy. It's like Doom is a game that is so hard to make better because it's already so good where it's at, but it does, like, it takes that and makes it feel legitimately better. So yeah, I don't know if you own Doom
I
on
do.
like Steam or something.
I do,
okay, then yeah, definitely
that's the only one I
mod.
own other than 2016 Doom. So
awesome. Yeah, look at that mod, because yeah, it's free and pretty easy to mod. So
I'll have to check that out. But yeah, so like I enjoyed playing through that again, and we'll talk about Doom 3 soon, so I'll just skip over that one. Fallout 76 though, now this is a game that obviously everyone knows about this one, and so I would say I'm more of an Elder Scrolls fan than a Fallout fan, but I am that person who my first Fallout experience was Fallout 3. That was a magical, wonderful experience for me, playing through that wasteland, coming out of the vault for the first time, everything. I have all that, everyone talks about that first experience. I'm one of those people. Fallout New Vegas is also a great game, but it didn't hit it for me in that nostalgia way that, like, when I think back to Fallout, I think of Fallout 3. I think of specifically that map. And Fallout 4 was exciting when it got announced, and then it came out like 3 months later or 4 months later, and being able to play that when I had kind of first moved 2 hours away from family was just an awesome time. It's like this little period of time in my mind. I loved Fallout 4, but I've never played it after I beat the game. I just kind of beat it and went past. Before I beat the game, I had pretty much explored the whole map, to be fair, but I just haven't had that feeling of wanting to go back to it like I do with Skyrim or with with Oblivion or with Fallout 3. I pretty much, those three are the Bethesda games I always want to go back to. So I say all this because when Fallout 76 was announced and when it came out and it was like that dumpster fire that it was, and no one liked it, I just kind of brushed it off. Thought, well, it looks like Fallout 4. I don't really want another Fallout 4 because Fallout 4 for me was the least exciting one of them all. And I wanted something that looked more new. Now, many years, it's been a few years later, and I downloaded this game. A bunch of us from work were like, hey, it's on Game Pass. Let's all play it together and try it out. And so I did. And I've had a great time with it, actually. I haven't had it crash at all. I've been having a blast. I haven't been playing it for story. I know they added NPCs. I don't care. As soon as I see an NPC, I shoot their face off. I'm like, oh, you're gonna talk to me? I don't want to talk to you right now. Like, I'm totally playing this to just go from destination to destination. See, like, there's like, world storytelling. There'll be a corpse here with a note or things like that. I like that stuff. And like, we're treating it like an actual wasteland where like there's hardly anyone alive now, and the people who are alive are like, raiders, and they got their little encampment, and I'm just intruding on their land. So it's kind of that's how I like to play. And playing with friends, you can go through areas together, or usually we're just off doing our own thing and we're just talking. So I found that's just nicer. You can build your base. I've been just collecting resources, building my walls up, making a couple stories, for my base, and inviting people over to check it out. That's just all I really wanted in Fallout was the option to have someone come by and help you with something. And you never really felt like you needed somebody with you for combat, but it was always this feeling of, oh, it would be fun to be able to walk through here, this wasteland with another person. And I think this game nails that. The last thing I'll say on that one is that the perk system, I actually prefer it over the classic Fallout games. So like with Fallout 4 or whatever, you know, you level up, you can put 1 point into your one of your special skills, so like S for strength, for example, and it'll do something like increase your carry weight and your damage with melee weapons or something like that. In this one, you start with like 1 point on each of the, you know, special traits, and when you level up, you can put 1 point into that, but then you also unlock for that trait. So I chose luck for my playthrough. I've just been purely going luck, and you can put a point, or you get a perk card essentially that you can equip, and you can take it off. So it's kind of more modular in how you get your perks. The perks aren't permanent, where before you would choose something and you're stuck with it for that character for that playthrough. And so now, if my luck stat was at 2, you could put 2 level 1 perk cards or 1 level 2 perk card, and leveling the cards up will increase the bonus you get from it. So for example, my character, he had a 20% chance of finding more ammo in an ammo crate, and then it goes to 40% or something like that, right? So as you level it up, you can have a higher chance for finding more loot, or have junk way less, or you get more armor if you carry more junk, things like that, right? Then if you get 3 points put into charisma, you can share a level 1 card with any teammate, and it just doesn't cost them anything. They just get it. So it can really encourage people to say, I'm the luck guy. I'm fully focusing on luck, and my other friend, he's focusing on strength, and my other friend's focusing on something else. If you put charisma as like your second thing that you're kind of working on, you can put points into charisma and actually share a card of your choosing with your team, and you can actually have some really good cards to like play around with each other. I just thought that was really, really cool and really creative, and something I wouldn't have thought of myself. So a lot of praise for Fallout 76 from me for right now. If you just want a game that, if you want more Fallout and you just want to go around and find destinations, do a couple little missions, no one's gonna kill you. That's never been an issue, and it's just fun to go around and do. If you want that feeling again, you can kind of just kill some hours with that game. So
awesome. Yeah, I remember in the last like Xbox roundtable thing, I was watching it, and at some point they brought up Fallout 76 and mentioned that it was like, yeah, it's super healthy, people love it now. And Todd Howard said something about like, oh,
yeah,
that sure sucked at launch, but it's really good now. I was watching, I'm like, is it? Like,
yeah,
I
that's
haven't heard
right.
anything about that really since launch.
Same
And so
attitude.
I like went to Google, and then I was like, I think I typed like, is Fallout 76 good in 2021 or something? And like, yeah, I got all these articles like, oh, Wastelanders like really made this great. I heard some people saying like, oh, Wastelanders is like one of the best Fallout stories we've had, I think. And I was like, damn, like that's actually really, really impressive. Like this was so off my radar at this point. My question is though, when it got announced, the thing that sort of initially drew me to it was I really liked the idea of a open world game where the NPCs are like other people. Because that's sort of how they were touting it. Is like there isn't any human NPCs because like you don't need it. There's other people and you interact and trade with them and whatever.
Yeah.
Do you think it actually like? Do you think it that is actually what the game is at this point, or do you think it is more just Fallout, but you can play it with friends?
It is more Fallout, but you can play with friends.
Okay.
That'd be the short answer, from my experience. There are small things you can do. For example, on your base, you can have a vending machine where you make 90% of whatever the person paid, and other people on the map can see your station. Like, oh, there's a vendor here, and they can buy the stuff that you put into it. So if you find some good stuff, you put it in there, someone else comes through and buys it. That's cool, but you don't need to be there. So it kind of takes away the personal the interaction where you could like hold caps lock and be like, hey man, what, want to buy something, and just yell at them like, hey, stop running, get back over here, buy something, so like that, it takes that away. But I mean, if you wanted to, you could, right? It's just who's gonna sit there and wait for passerbys. So yeah, I would say it's more just a follow game that you can play with friends.
Yeah I don't know, I am not like a huge Bethesda Softworks, like that format of game just doesn't usually super click with me. So I don't know, because I've been debating whether or not I do want to get into Fallout 76 because I've been looking for like a good multiplayer game to play.
Right.
So yeah, no, the way you describe it, maybe it's not super my thing though. I don't know. I'll look into it. But yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, like if our schedules ever match up, we could just play it together a little bit. It scales enemies too, so that's nice. Like if I'm shooting a guy and it says level 10 because I'm level 10, and it'll say level 5 if you're level 5 or whatever. So that's cool.
That's nice, yeah.
Yeah, but then but going past that one, Wolfenstein: The New Order, played that one. I've never played it before, so that's been a little bit of fun. I only put like maybe an hour and a half into that one. I plan on continuing it. I just because I wanted to play a ton of games, and I knew I wanted to play Doom 3 for today's show. I also wanted to play other Doom games and get some comparisons on there. So I kind of put it on the side, but I will say I do love the fact that you can unlock like traits and a little like perks or whatever they're called in the game by doing certain achieving certain moves. I don't know what else to call it, but for example, if you dual wield and you're shooting guys in the head, or you're getting a bunch of kills, or you have this certain weapon, you shoot every bullet hits an enemy before it runs out, then maybe you get this ability where multi kills will now increase your armor as you're doing it. Things like that is really cool. It's just a passive ability, makes your character better just by playing the game. And I don't know, I thought that was a neat thing, but I haven't really played it enough to say much more than that.
Yeah, I like that sort of skill-based progression.
Yeah, like I like stuff that makes you better without you having to think about it, and stuff that makes you have to think about it. It's like I like a good healthy mix of both, right? Oh, I've jumped.
Yeah, well, I like that because it's not just like typical RPG thing of just sort of like grinding to get something, you know, like basic XP, you just have to kill something. I like that it's doing something different. Like you have to do something like what you're saying, like that takes a certain type of skill to do that. I like it's rewarding you for like skillful play as opposed to just
yeah, like go kill 3 enemies with 1 grenade, that kind of thing. You usually have to look for it, and I'm sure it can happen passively, but it's nice having the option. Last one is Doom Eternal, and I started that this morning, and I haven't played it ever. And like I left it aside. At the time that Doom came out last year, or that Doom Eternal came out last year, I wasn't in the mood for Doom, even though I like Doom. At that time, I just did not want to play it. I had no interest in it whatsoever. And so now that, and I kind of got back into wanting to play it probably back in August, but I didn't want to like buy the game because at this point it'd been a while, and I knew it would come on sale at some point. So why bother? But yeah, so this has been the perfect time to jump in, and I've been having a blast. Played probably 3 hours this morning, and just slaying demons, man.
ripping and tearing.
Yeah, ripping and tearing. But yeah, that's about it on my games this week.
That's cool. I like that you played sort of like, you know, the earliest and the latest in Doom just to see like sort of a point of reference for Doom 3. That's a good idea. I almost wish I did that.
I have a comparison.
Yeah,
oh, sorry. So I guess we could just go right into Doom 3.
Now?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, awesome.
I was just going to say,
start us off?
No, I think I've talked long enough. I'll let you go, but I will say that I have a reference that's not Doom related for this one. Anyways.
Okay. Yeah.
You take it away.
Yeah. So from like a historical perspective, I guess it's just a really interesting game to me because the thing that like really, after like an hour of playing it, the thing that really stood out to me was that this totally feels like Doom after Half-Life came out, because Doom like popularized the first-person shooter. You know, it's so much innovation that 98 comes along, Half-Life comes out, again, just totally reinvents what that means in terms of like it being more story-based and having like RPG type elements where you can like kill NPCs and stuff like that. You know, you could just kill random scientists or security guards if you want to, and there's like an actual benefit to doing that. And all these different like unique additions to the genre that was at that point, you know, just called Doom clones. And seeing this as like the first proper Doom game to come out after the genre was totally reinvented is so interesting to me, because this just completely feels like Doom, but if Doom was Half-Life, where it is more survival horror based. Yeah, it is more survival horror based. The whole intro sequence where you know, you're going just like sort of walking through the lab and having people talk to you to like immerse you in the world is ripped straight out of Half-Life 1. The fact that you can kill scientists, which kind of makes no sense in this game, to be honest. Like, I remember at one point I was checking in, the security guard was like, "Oh, that like don't go crazy on those scientists in there," haha. Like, and then I was like, "Wait, can you kill them?" So I walked up to a scientist, just shot him in the head, and he died. And I was like waiting for like sirens to go off for people to shoot at me or something, and just
And they're
nothing
just like,
happened.
yeah,
So,
that's fine.
okay, so I just
Just-
kept on shooting the guys I was going through because I thought it was funny, and then it makes you sound like a psychopath when I say it out loud. But it was just
that's
weird.
funny.
And there's just a few things like that was just super interesting to me because it totally felt like Doom just like taking what Half-Life did and sort of immersing it into its own formula. And not necessarily in a bad way. I don't, from what I played, I definitely think that this is the weakest Doom game, or major Doom game, I should say. But that said, I still don't think it's bad. Like, the issue is that every other Doom game is a 10, and this is like a 7. And maybe some that is age. I also feel like I should have played it on PC because the controller, like the gamepad controls, didn't feel amazing to me, in my opinion.
Oh, I found it fine
Um,
myself, but I just
I
like
mean, it's
controllers.
okay. I think part of what it is like using a Doom shotgun with a controller just feels weird to me at this point because I'm too used to playing Doom on PC.
Right.
But uh, but yeah, I mean, I thought it was good. I definitely somewhat unremarkable by today's standards. Like, if it was in a vacuum, just because it is early 2000s, like survival horror influenced first person shooter, which kind of played itself out a little bit. But definitely, I think the thing that stuck out to me most is just how interesting it is in the string of first person shooter history.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, for me, the fact I was just looking up to see when this game came out because I didn't know, and I wanted to kind of compare it to Half-Life. Obviously, Half-Life was earlier, but I just wanted to, I didn't remember when Half-Life came out, so that was 1998, and then Doom 3 here being 2003.
Yeah,
2000,
that
no,
sounds
Doom
right. I remember it was
2000,
right
2004. Sorry, and then
Oh, okay.
the game I was thinking, so like Half-Life's such a good comparison there. I didn't even think about that, especially with like the way it kind of starts and the way it's kind of more that horror and kind of people are turning and that kind of thing. I really get that vibe. I totally see what you're saying. The game that it also reminded me of, and in terms of like what I thought the gameplay was like, was and I haven't played much Half-Life, so forgive me if it's just completely I'm completely wrong there, but like it reminded me actually of Halo 1 Combat Evolved or whatever. So
Yeah.
I really like Halo, and and for me this game, like, I'm not a huge fan of this game, but I actually thought it was better than I was expecting, and I actually had fun with it. I'm just playing the gameplay in the background of pretty much the beginning of the game, right? But I really liked that you could interact with like the little computers and stuff. I didn't know what, like, that's obviously not a thing in Halo, but I really liked, starting as your character, you're just walking around and you're getting the armor as you're going. It pops in and out of third person and first person, and having
Those
the
cutscenes are so
flashlight.
strange.
Yeah, the facial animations. I wrote a note on that one because I was like, at first I wrote facial animations are terrible, and then I stopped myself and said, no, they're not. They're just funny
It's
looking.
very 2004.
They're just
Also,
they're fun. They're fun bad is what I'll say. It's just like when you actually watch, like, they're animating those mouths to try to like sync up with what they're saying, and honestly, it's not they're not doing a bad job. It's just with the kind of like 3D models they had to deal with. It's just really funny looking, and I had a fun time just watching that. That was fun. This game actually, I found it a little bit creepy. I actually really did jump a few times in this one. I liked looking around in all the like crevices for codes or ammo or trying to figure out how to open up certain devices or crates or something, and like, can I go in this hole? Nope. Okay. But like I found that stuff fun, and then all of a sudden you hear footsteps and you just know that there's an enemy around the corner, and that kind of would make me jump every now and then. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, like the first time I saw Hell Knight like coming at me, the bigger like armored guys, is like, oh shit, kind of like panic firing at him. Like, there is definitely some cool tension that way that Doom hasn't really had in the past.
Yeah, I also love, actually you can see here where like the bodies like splat into bones on the ground. I just thought that was
Yeah,
hilarious
yeah.
because it's so like over the top, and I didn't know what to expect out of this era of shooter in a Doom game, because I haven't seen anything on Doom 3. I didn't know anything. I totally went into this one blind. All I knew about was Doom 1 and 2 and Doom 64. Actually, Doom 64 I don't even think I've seen. I think I've just seen the title, like the logo. Now that I think about it. And so yeah, that was just kind of fun for me going into this with no expectation. And then I thought it was weird that there was a stamina meter. Like, what did you think of
Yeah,
that? Like,
yeah.
I go to sprint and then all of a sudden I'm not able to, and I was trying to figure out why, and then just not
Like,
have
yeah,
it. Yeah.
that feels like Half-Life, like because Half-Life
Okay.
has stamina, so we should too, you know. And I also think that the Halo comparison is super apt, and I think a lot of that is just that sort of like PS2, OG Xbox era of console shooter design. Because
Hmm.
again, like there's a lot of Half-Life influence, but there's also influence of, hey, first-person shooters do work on console and are popular on console now because because of Halo. So the classic thing of like, well, that crazy fast paced, super precise style of shooters doesn't really work on a controller at this point in time. Like, there's a reason why Unreal Tournament wasn't on console, but Halo was, you know?
Right.
And so this feels like them trying to take, yeah, some of the influence and gameplay from Halo of how to make first person shooters work on console and definitely integrating some of that in. And I think that's part of maybe why I don't love this game as much in terms of like a Doom game, because it does feel slower and a little bit less
Yeah.
Doom, I guess,
Especially when you
than
compare it to
other entries.
Doom 2016 or Doom Eternal.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that
because
one's
Doom,
just
Doom
so good.
2016, yeah, just a like
Mobility.
perfect way to make Doom modern and 3D and make it work on mouse and keyboard and console and all
Mm.
that. But I can and will talk about those games later in the year. But yeah, it's just such an interesting transition point for the series. Like, before before it rebooted and really figured out how to make a modern Doom game. But after like the classic era of Doom.
Yeah, and I was just, while you were talking there, I pulled up Half-Life 2. It came out a couple months after this game. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
same year.
So like, get
It's
wrecked.
crazy.
So
I know.
like for
That's
that's so
such a
too bad.
testament to Half-Life 2, though. Like,
Yeah.
when you look at screenshots of Half-Life 2 and this
Hmm.
game side by side, like, they look like they were made 10 years apart. It is
Totally.
insane.
It
Like,
just
when you're
shocked me
talking
when I
about
saw
facial
that.
animations,
Mm.
like Half-Life 2's facial animations also look a little goofy by today's standards because
Yeah.
they're kind of like over animated in a way to really like put attention on like, whoa, look how crazy these are. Um, but like, but yeah, they look like clay models almost in this game. Like, everything's kind of has like a clay look to it. Um, but yeah, I think that's all I have to say on it.
Yeah, same here. So we'll just move right on into the next topic of the show. Game Pass, uh, it keeps getting more valuable. I mean, I think the console version of EA Play being on Game Pass was already a thing, but it's now on PC, and that's the one I play on. And I just can't believe how many games
It's
you
a
can
lot.
play on Game Pass now. It's just crazy. And like the fact that, like I said, I played about, what was it, like 5 games this week, and they were all from that service. I have my PS5 in the living room. Didn't have a single game on there I wanted to play this week. Um, just like, I played Spider-Man, beat them. Already done with that. Nothing else.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for a new game, but until then, like, that's just going to be my Netflix machine now. So I
yeah,
mean, the
yeah.
fact that just says a lot to me for like what they're offering, and not everything is from Xbox. So it was this week, but there's a lot of options out there. So anyways, I just wanted to touch on that EA Play. It's now available on PC Game Pass. That's really cool. It's such a valuable collection of games. You got all the Mass Effects in there, you got Star Wars in there, which actually it was really interesting that the Mass Effects are in there, since they're doing that legendary edition with all the trilogy. Kind of
Yeah,
surprising that they
yeah.
would put that as like a thing you can play right before they're trying to sell you the same games again, just a little
Well,
better.
I think those have been in like the vault for
They
EA
were,
Play
yep.
for a good while. Yeah, so I
Yeah,
think they just didn't want to take it away.
you can't do that,
Um,
but it's
yeah.
too bad.
The thing with EA Play, because as you said, this came out on console a little while ago, but I kind of brushed off that announcement a bit. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like that's a lot of big games, but I don't super care because I don't really play a bunch of EA games.
Hmm.
But then it was actually on, and I was like, yeah, I might as well look through. Like, there's a lot of games in here, and a lot of like old, really cool games as well. Like Spores in here.
Yeah.
if
Oh
you want
yeah.
to play
Damn it.
that.
That's what I was gonna bring up. I forgot.
Spore, yeah, there's like Spore, there's SimCity 2000. There's some of their cool like indie initiative stuff like Sea of Solitude or Unravel. Unravel is amazing, by the way.
Mhm.
Everyone should go play that. Like a bunch of Need for Speed games, a lot of the bad Need for Speed games.
Yeah. That's
Like there's a lot of just like trash in here, to be totally honest. But there's
is.
also like, yeah, like you said, all the Mass Effect games. There's a lot of really cool stuff in here.
Titanfall 2.
Yeah, Titanfall 2, that's a great one. Crisis, Dead Space,
Yeah.
lots of good stuff.
Yeah. So that's just really awesome. Good news. Yeah. Let's have some good news today. Moving on. We got the first images for the PlayStation, the new PSVR controller, basically. Whenever the new PSVR system comes out, we have the new controllers for that. Let me just queue up this thing here. There we go. So here we go. We got the pictures up on the screen. We they look a lot like what you'd expect out of a nice VR controller, which I'm actually happy about. So like a lot of people had assumed that they would include the adaptive triggers and the HD rumble. Basically, I call it an HD rumble. Is that what they call it, or is that what Nintendo calls it? I'm trying to remember now. I think I got it mixed up.
Nintendo's HD rumble. They just call it haptic.
The haptic, yeah. Anyways, they got that stuff all in here. That's super cool. Zig, what do you think of these designs?
Yeah, I mean they're basically Oculus controllers, but with a weird ring around it. But like I saw these and they look weird, but I was like, oh, thank God. Like,
yeah, you don't want
controllers sucked ass for VR. Like, they were cool for what they are, and smart of them to try to integrate tech that they already had for VR. But also like, those controllers legitimately ruined games where like Hitman 3 VR, I was really excited about until I learned it was only on PSVR because the tracking is shit and the controllers are dumb. But because it was using the stupid controllers, like that game didn't play like a proper modern VR game because it's having to use like old bad VR hardware. And that's just unfortunate to me. So I'm glad. Like, I'm sorry to rag on it so much. I just don't like PSVR. I think it's a great thing for making like VR affordable in the hands of certain people.
Yeah.
But like the Oculus Quest exists and is the same price, but like leagues and leagues and leagues better. So you know, but I'm glad that they're taking notes from Oculus for this. I think that they mentioned it has like finger tracking, which I should probably say don't expect like Valve Index Knuckles type finger tracking. I don't believe that's what this is. I think it is like on the Oculus Touch controllers where
it's touch sensitive.
Like, yeah, so if you just like touch the joystick, your in-game thumb will like go down, or if you like lift your finger off the trigger, you'll like point. So it's like sort of finger tracking, but it's not finger tracking in the like high fidelity index sense. Which is fine. It doesn't need to be like that. Very much is kind of a gimmick right now. It doesn't actually enhance how you play games, I feel like. But yeah, like I said, I'm really glad to see this. I love VR, and it's good to see PlayStation making a real modern comparable headset with other stuff. So VR devs, don't have to try to make their games work on weird old hardware or stuff like that. It can be more I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but it can play better with other headsets in terms of software.
Yeah, that's true.
One thing that this also brings up for me is, or actually, you should probably give your impressions on the controller first.
Oh, I was just gonna say it looks hot. I like it. I think it looks slick. It looks so much better than the Move controllers, and pretty much just reinstating what you've said. Like It looks like something I could see myself actually using and feeling comfortable with, and you don't have this weird glowing ball on the end of your hand. And I like it. I like it a lot, and I wasn't interested in PSVR whatsoever before because of similar reasons to you. Like I already I have the Vive is what I have. And if I wanted to play a VR game, I want to play in a better resolution and on my computer where it'll run really good. I can do that. So but the accessibility is attractive to me. So if it's easy to just like, depending on what this headset's like, whenever they have that come out, if it is wireless, which I hope it would be, even though I'm not expecting it to be, but I'm hoping, then that will be a big positive over my Vive right now, because it is plugged in, and it's like one of the first like VR sets that came out. It's dated now, but it works and I like it. So this would make, if it was a nice new headset and it had these controllers, I could see myself actually getting this whole kit. And then the last thing I'll say on this is just showing the controllers totally brings me back to the PS5 when they would trickle out, oh, here's the controller for the PS5 and here's the power cord, totally. And here's your you know what I mean? Like, it's totally that. So I'm looking forward to seeing when we get like, I don't know, a nice zoomed in close up picture of one of the square buttons or something like that. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
I hope, because wireless VR is doable now is the thing. I know with the Oculus Quest, I haven't personally tried it myself, but there is ways to stream VR apps from your computer to the headset. And I haven't personally tried that, like I said, but from what I've heard from people who have, it is perfectly usable. So I would love if that was at least an option. I think that'd help a lot of people, because going back to wired headsets, like when I do plug my Quest into my computer, I'm just like, ugh, I hate it. Like, I hate having the cord in back. I hate being restricted in my movement. So it'd be really great if it was wireless. But like you said, I don't necessarily expect it or even want it to be fully wireless. I think that'd be great as an option. Yeah, so in terms of headset and tracking, what do you think this is going to do? Because with this controller design, they're very clearly moving away from the whole like PlayStation camera looking at the light ball system. And so do you think they're going to do more like an inside out tracking like the Quest does, where there's cameras on the headset? Or do you think that they're going to have you put up lighthouses like with the Vive or the Index? Personally, I think they're going to do inside out tracking, just because that seems to be more and more sort of the standard in VR. And if they are trying to go for like you said, the accessibility angle, I don't think that they're going to try to get people to put up a bunch of little posts in their living room, because most people just don't want to, which is very fair. But yeah, what do you think?
I think you're spot on. I think it's a great question. I didn't even consider it, to be honest. I think you're totally right, though. I think it would have to be inside out tracking. You can't set up. Okay, lots of like people these days have had to kind of go to having their own offices inside, right? You have a lot of people inside. You have a lot of cramped space, and then beyond that, even before COVID, you had tons of people going into smaller spaces. My wife and I, like, just when we were looking for a condo, even like, we have a condo from 2009 is when it was built, I think, and even then it's like, it's hard to find an actual unit that has a space for eating, like a space to put your table. And it's actually kind of a weird thing that I never really realized until then, but it's like, you have your living room, and it's usually connected to your kitchen, and that's it. And you're like expected to eat in front of the TV, because most people do. And it's just weird how the spaces get more condensed into one room as time goes on. And I feel like to expect people to have all this space and to be able to do these things, I think it needs to be inside out tracking. And then I think it needs to be wireless, because if you have a little bit of room, you're going to be getting games like the kind that are like almost like the on-rail shooters, where you're standing in one spot just spinning in circles shooting things, or you're doing a similar thing to that. But if you're spinning in circles and tying up your feet in wires and you're just falling right over, I think both those things need to happen, just to be the most accessible, if that is what they're going for, like you said.
Also, I've heard a lot of people saying that, like, talking about how this could mean like Valve will finally put Half-Life Alyx on PlayStation or something. I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
I think Valve is very happy to work with other headsets on their platform, but there's a reason why Half-Life Alyx is like very much a Steam game. Like this was a game to promote their VR platform with Steam VR and to make PC VR more of a thing. Like I don't think they're going to necessarily want to put that everywhere. And I mean, it'd be cool if they did. Like it'd be great if everybody could play Half-Life Alyx, but
I'd love to play it.
I really don't see that happening. But yeah, I mean, I think it's good to also just get like I think they've mentioned PSVR 2 in the past and mentioned some features here and there, or I think we've seen patents or whatever. But it's good to see like official PlayStation blog confirmation that this is happening. Like you said, these are like the initial teases. Like this is going to come out. This isn't just going to be something we hear rumblings of and then never comes to fruition. And yeah, that's good to hear. I mean, who knows? Maybe when I do end up getting a PS5 down the road, which is hopefully soonish. I've kind of been waiting until both I have the money and until it's on shelves a little more. But when I am at that point, if it seems like it's a good headset, I could definitely see myself investing in it because I think PlayStation has done a really excellent job of building up an exclusive library of that. I would say honestly, there's more PSVR exclusives that interest me than or I guess PS5 exclusives that interest me. Because like Iron Man VR, I wanted to try out. Hitman 3 VR, I wish was better than it was, but I wanted to try that out before they actually showed gameplay demos of it. And stuff like that. Like PlayStation has been doing a really good job with that. So, yeah. Anyways, oh, actually, the last thing I want to touch on with this also is, I heard someone mention backwards compatibility. Like, will this work with old PSVR games? And will newer PSVR games work with the Gen 1 headset? I don't think it will be forwards compatible with PSVR 1. Like, I don't think PSVR 1 games are going to be able to play new PSVR games going forward for the reasons.
Wait, what? PSVR 1 games not being playable on the new PSVR?
No, I think PSVR games coming out after the PSVR 2 comes out, I don't think those are going to be backwards compatible forwards compatible on the old headset. For what we said before, like those controllers were just weird and don't work with a lot of games, and they need like sticks and face buttons that just aren't on them. I don't think that'll be a thing necessarily, but I really hope that it should be able to play like PS4 VR games and stuff like that.
Do you think these controllers will be able to be used on just any PS5 game? Because it's got it's only missing the touch strip on the middle, but could you use that like on the underside of the controller or something like that? I don't know. I'm wondering. I was like, it'd be like playing when you play it'd be like when you play the Joy-Con split in like Zelda or something like that, right? I'm like, that'd be kind of cool if you had the option. I wouldn't do it, but I would do it just to try.
Anyways. Yeah, I think like you said, it doesn't have the touch bar, which is actually no, it has the button for it, right? It looks like if you look on the left controller, there's a button where that maybe would be, unless it's the share button, but yeah, because if the bumpers are the grip buttons, the triggers are the triggers, obviously.
Yeah, well, they have the share button and the menu button or whatever.
I don't think they'll make that work, but it'd be funny if they did.
Yeah, they say the left controller contains one analog stick, triangle and square buttons, a grip button, L1, L2, and create button. The right controller contains one analog stick, cross and circle buttons, a grip button, R1 and R2, and options button. I doubt it will be compatible, but it'd be cool. It'd be neat if it was an option. I mean, I imagine these will be pricey too. So I mean, the regular controller for like in Canada here, it's like $100. So
jeez, yeah, I think Oculus Touch controllers are upwards of $100 because it's two controllers that are packed with tech. So
yeah, exactly. So moving on to our last little segment here. Let's talk about our top favorite 50 games, number 42. Ziggy, I'm just gonna go right into mine
Okay.
and start talking about it. My number 42 favorite game of all time is Zelda Link's Awakening slash remake because they're basically the same thing. I'm
Yeah.
I'm honestly like bundling those together because I've had a blast playing both, and I think they both, like, the original is flawless like for what it is, and I don't think it needed to be remade, but the remake is so nice looking and I really enjoy playing it. So um I mean, there's something great about playing a Game Boy game and then playing it. I think they did the DX version on Game Boy Color, and I've played all versions. I have all versions of it in my Zelda collection of games, like the cartridges and stuff. And I'm just gonna talk about the remake right now because
Mhm.
there's a this is what really pushed it into my top 50 list. Because actually, for Zelda games, I would say, oh, clearly it's my second from the bottom. You know, Skyward Sword being my least favorite Zelda game. This one would be behind it, and that's more just in how short it is and how I find the dungeons pretty there's not a lot of inventive puzzles, and I've found them very easy to figure out. I didn't find it very challenging, and so there wasn't much for me other than I love Zelda and I just like going through the world and I love the characters and I want to fight bosses and I want to get items and I have a fun time going through it. So that's why I like the game. But the thing that really pushed it into my number 42 for me is being able to experience this game with Taylor when the remake came out. So I've always loved it, but then playing it now with Taylor, she really liked the style of the game and the way it looked. And she actually started playing through the game, and she got through to the last. Maybe it wasn't the last one. She got to the Eagle Tower. Did you play this Zelda game before, Zig?
I haven't. No.
So that one is, I believe, the last dungeon before Ganon's Tower, or it's the one before that. But it's basically she got through like 6 or 7 of these dungeons on her own, and I just remember watching that and be like, I'm impressed. This is awesome, you know. And I tried to get her to play Wind Waker. I tried to get her to play Twilight Princess. Something about those games and how long those intros are, and how much you're kind of guided to talk to this person. Now go to this location, talk to this person before you can finally explore the world. You do have to do a lot of like hand holding in those games, and she just isn't a fan. So this one um, really made me appreciate the little things in the game, watching her go through and really enjoy the little things in it. So yeah, that's my number 42. Little quick side note, Taylor's playing Breath of the Wild now, and I really love watching her play it. She's been playing it
Oh.
like for about a week now, like a little bit after work, and she's actually doing really good. She's killing tons of enemies, and I think that's like the hardest in terms of combat for a Zelda game.
Yeah,
And
especially at the beginning. Yeah.
yeah, like the only time she's dying is from like one hit kills. It's like, you're new to video games and you're getting hit by an arrow, like, and you die instantly. Like, that's like, what are you
Yeah.
gonna do? What are you gonna do about that? But yeah, no, she's doing great, and I love that.
Yeah. No, watching people play Breath of the Wild for the first time is always so fun. Like,
Mhm.
I was playing it with Tesla a while ago, and watching them just on the Great Plateau, like just fucking struggling the whole time because they had like they aren't new to video games, definitely, but
Mhm.
just as a lot of people do, having a hard time with like just the game because there's so much to learn and it really punishes you at first of like trying to figure out how to climb. I remember they fell off this one cliff like 5 times.
But I want to go up
Like
there.
yeah. And like I think one time they're doing it, I like left to do something, come back and just had like their face in their hands, like what happened? Like I fell again. But yeah, it's always fun to see people explore that for the first time. But yeah, for Link's Awakening, it's always been one I kind of wanted to get into. I thought about buying the remake, but I think it was just too much like typical kind of Nintendo pricing, just a little
It
bit too
is.
much for what it
And
was,
that
in
one
my
I actually
opinion.
agree. It is.
Yeah. Um, and but yeah, I really like I have had this story spoiled for me in terms of like what the big twist is, and I do think it's really interesting and
Hmm.
different for Zelda, like the almost I can't think of the word I'm looking for. But yeah, just a weird, unique feel I think is interesting, and the remake looks gorgeous. I remember when that came out, some people were kind of ragging on the art style, and I didn't get that at
No,
all
no,
because
it's
like
nice. Yeah.
it looks beautiful. Yeah, I love the art style in that remake.
Yeah, well, I definitely encourage you to play through the older version if you can.
Yeah,
It's
actually,
definitely worth it.
I just yesterday put in the money to get a Retroid Pocket 2, which
Ooh, I
is
know what that is.
yeah, which is a tiny little like emulation handheld. So maybe I'll try it out on there because yeah, I've definitely been thinking about going back and playing some older like SNES, Game Boy era um, Zelda games.
Yeah, it's awesome, and yeah, again, even if you ruin the story and yeah, it's sad and all that stuff, it's like it's still just a solid Zelda game that once you beat it, unless it's like your favorite, you're gonna be like, okay, that was cool. I don't need to play it again, but I'm glad I did because it is a good one, as they all are.
All right, my number 42. I can't remember if I've talked about this one on the show or not, but it is Pikuniku, which is on Game
Ah,
Pass. You can play it right now. Um, it was a game that I remember when it came out because I follow Devolver on YouTube and whatever, and I remember seeing like, oh, Pikuniku launch trailer, and I was like, that looks weird, but whatever. And I watched it, I'm like, that looks kind of cute. I doubt I'll play it. And then I went home because I think I was at school at the time, and then checked. You know, with Amazon Prime, you get like free games through Twitch or whatever. So I just checked to see like what the free games were on that
mm-hmm.
for the month. And I was like, oh shit, Pikuniku, like day one is free with Twitch Prime. So it's like, you know what? Fine. Like I love Devolver. They've never like put me down in the past.
Yeah.
I trust them. So I downloaded it. I'm like, this looks so different from anything else they put out. But like I'll try it. And then ended up beating it in one sitting, just because it's like 6 hours. And I just like from start to finish was just so enthralled in it. Like it's definitely not like super deep story, but it's just keeps you engaged with like really funny writing and is just constantly throwing new stuff at you where every like half hour to an hour there's a new mechanic, there's a new character, there's just like new things it's doing, and it's just constantly funny and engaging and just kind of a joy to get through. um yeah, it's definitely not like the deepest game on my list. Its gameplay is largely pretty simple. Like it's effective but simple platforming with some kind of neat like physicsy mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
The co-op is really fun. Like you and Taylor should think about playing through that if you ever
Just
download it.
downloaded it now
'Cause
while you were talking about
that's
it.
awesome. Um, but yeah, because the co-op is a different campaign from the main game, but it's just like simple little platforming levels that are like it's the classic thing where you could like mess up whoever you're playing with, or do it together, and it's good fun.
That's
But
good.
yeah, it's just raw, enjoyable, like cute, fun. Won't really make you feel sad. It's just happy. The writing is really funny. It's this it almost writes in a similar way that you would like text somebody where it's usually not like capitalized with punctuation,
Oh,
which it
okay.
has this really sort of like sort of deadpan humor to it where like I remember it starts out you're like in a cave and you come out and you hear these people talking about like the beast that lives in the cave and you're just like this cute little circle dude. They're like oh the legend of the beast, and you come out, they're like, oh, it's the beast, like, oh shit, and then just kind of look at you, they're like, oh, and then they'll like I think like poke you with a stick or like trap you or something. And I was trying to kind of like trying to figure out what to do with you because you're not really like a monster, and just like funny little things like that. And then the story suddenly goes into this whole like end of the world plot thing. Um, but yeah, definitely highly recommend if you want something sort of quick and fun.
Awesome. No, I'm definitely interested in the fact that you said that it's a two-player game. Like, I actually want to play that with Taylor now.
Mhm.
I didn't know that,
Yeah.
or that there is a two-player mode at least.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I realize we still, as every week, this happens, but we haven't talked about our next game club game.
Done this so many times in a
So,
row.
what is there anything on EA Play that came to Game Pass that you have not played that we could throw in?
I always thought Sea of Solitude looked kind of cool. We could play that.
What the fuck is that?
It's a depression metaphor game,
Oh,
I
I
think.
don't need that right now.
That's fair enough. It's very indie looking.
I say it with a laugh, but I don't need that right now.
No, that's definitely valid. Um, oof. I would say Spore, but I've played that way too many times. I just
Yeah, I
want an
played it a
excuse to go
bunch
back
too.
to it. Um,
Have you played all the popular ones? Wait, have you played Star Wars Squadrons?
Star Wars Squadrons. Oh no, I haven't actually.
Because that one came out fairly recently, right? Like in September or something. And I mean, I'm not usually a vehicle person, and I'm not sure it would hit all the notes for me, but it might be fun to just try it out and see what that game's like.
Yeah, I should plug in my VR headset for this one actually.
Oh yeah, if you can do that, that would be sweet.
I think
I'm gonna
so.
look into it because then I'm gonna do that too. Okay, let's do that one. So Game Club game this week will be Star Wars Squadrons. And
Sounds good.
yeah, if you made it to the end of the episode today, thank you. And please leave a like and subscribe so you can see when when we're posting this again, which will be like next week. But yeah, we really appreciate you watching, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Oh, bye. Thank you for being in that screen.